once I got my mission call to Chile, Santiago North, my father served in Ecuador, so he had a Spanish Book of Mormon, and he gave it to me to start to read before my mission. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna read this book before my mission starts, because the saying goes, if you read the Book of Mormon in a different language all the way through, you'll be able to speak that language fluently. So I took up that challenge, and I wanted to read it before the mission started. So I started reading it. I was actually doing an internship at Disney World before the mission, so I started reading in between shifts at home in my apartment, just the Book of Mormon. I didn't understand what it said, but I would have a dictionary and the English Book of Mormon. So I would just read the Spanish first and then go over it with English to make sure that I understood, because I didn't understand a lot of it. And I noticed as I went through the Book of Mormon that my Spanish was so much better. And by the time that I got to the MTC, maybe I wasn't the best at Spanish in my district, or I couldn't speak the best, I didn't have the best accent, but I noticed that I could read almost better than everybody in my district. Not because I was better, actually there were a lot of great Spanish speakers, but I felt that I could read really well. And I remember getting to the mission, being able to read the scriptures really well. That when it was my turn to read with the investigator, that I didn't struggle. And a lot of people mention that, they're like, hey, we don't understand a thing you say, but when you read, like, you read really well. So that was nice, just getting the benefit of being able to read well in Spanish. But I think it also helped me learn to feel the Spirit in Spanish earlier. I think that it opened like a little door in my head that allowed me to feel the Spirit in Spanish sooner than maybe others that don't read the Book of Mormon in Spanish before the mission. And it wasn't important that I understood the Book of Mormon, because I already knew the stories, so I could understand what it was trying to say. I wasn't going for the gospel, like grasping the concepts. I was just going more for, I don't know, trying to understand Spanish. And it really helped me dive in to Spanish and be able to feel the Spirit more. I was able to pronounce the words better, and once you can pronounce the words better and with more passion and emotion while reading to the investigators, the scriptures are a lot more powerful for them. So I recommend it to anybody. And it's probably one of the best things I could have done before the mission, reading the Book of Mormon in Spanish, and also preach my gospel, because those words are more for conversations. So they're not as old, and they're more modern. So they're good for speaking with people, but it's also great to be able to read the Book of Mormon with a lot of influence, and you won't be able to do that if you just wait till you get to the field to start reading it. And in the MTC, I didn't read at all in Spanish or in English. I read everything in Spanish, all my scriptures. And actually, probably the best part of my pre-mission experience with the Spanish language and reading wasn't even reading the Book of Mormon in Spanish. I made the goal ever since I got my mission call to pray every night in Spanish. And that was incredible. I couldn't say everything, but I would just sit there, and if I didn't know the word, I would think the word. But I wouldn't ever say it. I would only speak and think in Spanish during my prayers. And that started about 3 months before, 4 months before I entered the MTC. And I said my first English prayer when I returned home. I think it was in Elders Quorum. They asked me to say the prayer. That was the first time I prayed in English in over 2.5 years. So that helped me a lot. And till this day, I still say my prayers in Spanish. So I think that reading the scriptures in Spanish and praying in Spanish before the mission is one of the best things a missionary can do to prepare himself or herself.